I need a personal bike. In the last video, the Polygon ripped, but it was too small for me, so I sold it. And today I bought this new aluminum bike, but if there's anything I don't like about this one, it's gone and the search continues. This is the new Ibis Ripmo AF, and it's the base model and the frame is aluminum. I remember 10 years ago when carbon frames first showed up in BMX. Of course I had to get one. I was racing, chasing performance, and carbon felt like the future. A few years later, I got a different sponsor and I had to go back to an aluminum frame. Honestly, I was worried because I thought carbon frames were better, but turns out it didn't make a difference. The aluminum frame had a springy feeling, a kind of liveliness that you don't get from carbon, and it didn't lack performance because I had a huge win that year on that bike. Now, talking about this new Ripmo AF, it isn't cheap. $37.49 for an aluminum bike is no small number. But I did save a few $100 using my code EvanDeal at n1bikes.com. But still, at that price, this bike has big shoes to fill, and if it doesn't, I'll sell it like every other bike before it. Man, this bike looks sick. This is like a brush finish. I think it's raw aluminum. There's no clear coat on here for sure. And if I get any scratches, no big deal. I can just buff it out with one of these red sponges. I think. Let me know if I'm wrong about that one, but that's how the Nikolai Park bike was too. I think I finally decided that a longer travel trail bike is just what I prefer. And this bike is right in the sweet spot. 150 millimeters rear travel, 160 in the front with a 64.5 degree head tube angle. Then for the drivetrain and brakes, we have Shimano Deore everything, including 4-piston brakes, 12-speed drivetrain. But before I hit the trail, I'm gonna change out a few parts right off the bat to help get this bike to where I want it. First off, I get a lot of comments when I upgrade bikes right out of the box, but that's what I do on this channel. If you're new here, I'm Evan. I build, upgrade, and ride mountain bikes. I'm not technically a bike reviewer, although sometimes it feels that way. And the first thing I'm swapping is the bars, and for no reason other than I want a little more rise. These have a 30 millimeter rise and 760 millimeters wide. I've been rocking 760 bars for a while, but it's crazy. Ever since spending time on the downhill bike this year, my riding style has changed. Now, 760s are starting to feel a little bit too narrow for me, so we'll see how they feel in this build. Next up, the brakes. I'm sure the Shimano Deore M60-120s are solid, but I've snapped too many Shimano levers over the years, even had one break last month on my Ibis Oso. Swapping brakes used to be such a chore, but it's also a great way to see the craftsmanship of a frame. And I'm sure we've all experienced frames with horrible internal cable routing, and let me know which frames gave you the most trouble. But ever since I got this cheapy internal cable guide kit off Amazon, it's been a game changer for just 15 bucks. But with those removed, now I can install my favorite brakes, Hayes Dominions. These came off my old Ripmo AF Evan signature build, which has been discontinued. I tried to cut the hose as little as possible. I just hope it's long enough to fit this new Ripmo. All right, moment of truth. Is this hose gonna be long enough? Nah, it's a couple inches too short, but it's not the end of the world because one, I have a spare set on hand, and two, I can use this as a front brake on a future build because this lever can be flip-flopped, so that's super convenient. Now, quick story time. I've been a little quiet this month, but I've been working on a ton of stuff behind the scenes, which you'll soon see. This month, I flew to Kentucky to visit the N+1 bike shop. It was super cool to see the inner workings of a bike shop. I even saw bikes being built for some of you guys, people who actually watch these videos and use my name to buy the bike. That was super cool to see in person. What surprised me most is how many of these bikes were custom builds. Guys would order, say, a Pivot Mach 6 and then write in the notes to change the bars to P&W or install heavy-duty tubes. It turns out N+1 does a ton of custom tweaks for people before shipping, something I've never had before because I've only ordered direct to consumer for years now. And here's the crazy part. I convinced N+1 Bikes to give you guys 25% off any upgrades when you order a new bike from them. Just tell them I sent you. All right, that took a little longer than expected, but that was worth it for sure. These levers are just made for this bike, and I just love how these feel. But my goal for this video is I want to feel out the frame and the suspension rather than the components. So next up, I'm swapping out the wheels. These are Spoke X SX30 alloys with silver Industry 9 Hydra hubs. Unfortunately, I don't have the front one yet, so I went to my attic and I got out my trusty nuke-proof Horizon V2. And to my surprise, it looks like these rims are identical, which is awesome because the nuke-proof Horizon wheel set has been bomb-proof for me since 2022. And I was real sad I couldn't get these anymore because nuke-proof went under. But man, now I'm pumped. The goal for this Ripmo AF isn't to turn it into an enduro plow machine. I want it to be a peppy single track destroyer. And the stock Blackbird Sen rims are 35mm internal, but they're kind of tanky and then don't really fit the light vibe that I'm going for. I've tried the Hydra hubs before, but I thought they were a flawed design, leading to the axles breaking all the time. This one is the Hydra 2, which is supposed to be a lot stronger. I don't really like loud hubs, so I'm going to put a nice glob of free hub grease in there, and that will quiet it down quite a bit. And let me know, do you like a loud or a quiet hub? I forgot why I ordered these with an XD driver. I should have had microspline for this bike, but I'll just run one of my SRAM X01 cassettes, and you can absolutely use SRAM cassettes with Shimano drivetrains, no problem. I'm not a big Maxxis tire fan, so I'm going to run one of my favorites. Pirelli Scorpion. I tried these out last year and I love them. Amazing grip, the tire deforms so well to the terrain. Really a great tire, and drop a comment if you've tried them before. All right, the bike is complete and I want to know how much it weighs. 35.3 pounds. That's pretty good for an aluminum bike. Of course, that's without pedals, but we have some thicker tires, 4-piston brakes, and longer travel suspension. I'm excited to see how this thing rides. All right, here we are, the back 40, doing something a little bit different today. It's now officially fall, and I think this is the last ride before all the trees start changing colors and all the fall colors come out, at least in my area anyway. But it feels like since like the start of May, I've been in like bike park mode where there's been a lot of shuttling, e-bikes, and not a lot of climbing. So I'm here in Bella Vista today, and this is what I want to be riding in the winter time, just like true single track. And that's why I got this bike. I really like this kind of trail where there's like you could ride this bike, or you could ride these trails on an XC bike. A lot of people do, but there's so many cool rock formations. There's like little side hits all over the place, and I really, really like doing that kind of stuff. Let's see, where am I? I'm gonna do the back 40 loop, and there's like a jump trail. There's a tech trail over here, and I think this trail is actually pretty fun. Like, let's see if we can find some rock formations and do little tech climbs. I can already tell that this extra medium size is so much better than the medium polygon. Oh, punchy climb here. Yeah, so with me being in bike park mode, I'm not out of shape because I've been riding Zwift
doing races and intervals and stuff. Probably in the best riding shape I've ever been in. Riding through someone's backyard with aliens right there. But I'm 5'9" and this is an extra medium. I think it's a 480 reach. So like 15 millimeters longer than the Polygon. Just feels so much better. Whoa, doing downhill, one finger braking. All right, that was a little sketchy, but it feels a lot bigger, a lot more comfortable to pedal, and just like I have a lot more space to do what I need to do. I like it, but I think the downhill is coming up. Let's see how this goes. Here it is. Now at the end of this, I'll talk about something pretty interesting regarding this bike and bikes I've had before. Ooh. Oh yeah. I love all these little optional lines. I never ride out here though, so I'm not really used to them. This is the kind of trail I live for though, man. Whoa. Oh, here's a little techie rock formation. Nice. And then the punchy part. Let's go. Yeah. See, I love this kind of trail. So good. All right, so it's worth noting that earlier this year, I had another Ripmo. It was a Ripmo Carbon V3, and I never really got along with that bike, and I'm not sure why. I ended up just converting it to a Ripley because the Ripmo AF and the Ripmo Carbon share the same frame as the Ripley, so all you gotta do is change out the shock and change out the clevis or whatever it is, and you have a shorter travel bike. I took that bike to bike parks, trails, and I just never really got along with it. And then this summer I got to test out the Ripley AF, and that bike had this like really springy, fun feeling. And I'm not sure if that's because it was aluminum, maybe it was RockShox suspension compared to the Marzocchi I had before. I'm just not too sure. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So with this Ripmo AF, if I do like it, if I do end up keeping it, I think I'm gonna do a full-on Ripmo Carbon versus aluminum test down the line where I try out the identical parts and I just kind of swap them out the trail. Because a couple of years ago I did a aluminum versus carbon test, but it was kind of botched. So I really want to do just like a straight up, exactly the same bike, it's just a carbon version, and see what the difference is. But so far, man, I'm liking this bike. But I'm looking for a jump trail coming up here. It's pretty fun. All right, let's go hit it. I do want to slow the rebound just a tad. Maybe here too. Yeah, with this RockShox Lyric fork, I'm still trying to feel it out. Ooh, a feature. I believe it's the base model, and the base model RockShox is kind of hard to set up, but they can be set up pretty well. Just take some fiddling with to have the really perfect settings. But I don't really understand why there's a Lyric and a Pike, because they both are 35 millimeter stanchions. I know the Pike is shorter travel, Lyric is longer travel, but I don't understand why I have two of the same models with the same stanchion diameter. But I will say that Marzocchi suspension that was on the carbon one, that suspension, it was like just off. The rear shock was like over damped. And I think this RockShox stuff is feeling better. So maybe it's tuned better for this frame. Feels nice and peppy so far. Well, after 2 hours of riding, I've finally found the jump trail. So let's see how this goes. Little mandatory gap. Oh yeah. These are so cool on the side of the road. Mandatory drop. This is fun getting sketchy. I live for those optional lines. Oh, here's some more. Oh, these are even better. Nice. All right, I'm on my way to the final trail of this ride and this video. And I finally figured out this bike, I think. It took a while to find my flow, but I noticed that this bike is so muted on these small chattery stuff. Like, I'm not really feeling any of this. And could that be the Pirelli tires? I mean, Pirelli tires are really good, but I really think it's the aluminum version of this Ripmo. And oh man, I just love it. And this bike, I mean, I covered some distance, and this bike feels like a long travel XC bike, and it really likes to stay in the power, and it just holds its speed super well compared to other bikes I've ridden. I mean, I'm just zipping through this stuff. So good. I said the same thing about the Santa Cruz Bronson, that it's like a long travel bike for XC guys, but that bike was so hard to set up. It was a nightmare to dial it in. I had to change out so many parts, but not this bike. This bike is just really good straight away. It's pretty much right where I want it.
As I was playing around on this chunky single track, something hit me. This whole ride, I was completely carefree. Rocks kicked up, smacked the frame, and on a carbon bike, that would make me cringe every single time. But on this one, I didn't even flinch.
Little big techie climb. Yes, dude. Woo!
There's something freeing about a bike that you don't have to baby. One that just begs to be ridden hard and not worried about. And I think that's what I've been missing. Riding high-end bikes is amazing, don't get me wrong. The performance, the speed, but there's always a little voice in your head when rocks start kicking up or when things get sketchy. You don't want to damage your expensive carbon bike. With this one, that voice is gone. This bike isn't chasing grams or race times, it just wants to be ridden hard. And honestly, that's what makes it more fun. I truly believe that this aluminum version is better than the carbon version, which is tough because the carbon version is like $1,300 more and comes with full Fox factory suspension from N+1 Bikes. That's a killer deal. And if you've ever gone from carbon back to aluminum and liked it more, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. I have a feeling that I'm not the only one who's felt this before.
Man, this bike is so fun. I think it's a keeper, man. But I'm exhausted. I've been riding for 3 hours. But hey, if you're looking for a new bike or parts and you want to save a lot of money, check out my links below. I got coupon codes at N+1 Bikes. Will hook you up big time, and it supports the channel in the process. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy with where I'm at right now, and I got a big November coming up. Lots of cool video ideas, so subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.